So we are back with another video. Thank you for tuning into the channel and for the page. So this video is gonna be another character development, character reconstruction, character basically we're making the characters better, we're making the characters great, or at least like more aligned with their intended purpose based off of what I saw. So this time we're going to be talking about the sleaziest, most downright dirty, double-crossing, rooting, tooting, shooting, you know, I could be out here, you know, saying a lot of, basically, you don't like this man. You don't like this man. This man is the 6th Hokage candidate himself. He shouldn't have not ever been considered as a candidate in the beginning. But Danzo Shimura. Ugh, that man, bro, like, he's horrible. He is outright the most despicable person in the Naruto verse. I'm not gonna lie, like, he should have just tag teamed the Ginkaku and Kinkaku force alongside Tobirama and took one for the team, because to be honest, this man's was horrible. Throughout the whole series, he was creating problems, not solutions, problems. So this man has a very messed up ideology that self-sacrifice is very, very important for the sake of the village, for the sake of the betterment, for peace. You have to sacrifice yourself. But here's the thing. This man don't sacrifice himself at all. He sacrifices other people. He don't sacrifice himself. So how do we fix a character that's completely irredeemable? We really don't. We just make him a little bit more understanding, and we introduce him at points in time throughout the series that make better sense. So for the first part, we got to start in part 1, because we got to introduce this dude long before his debut in the original story. In the original story, he was debuted during the second season of Shippuden, which was the Sasuke, it's not a Sasuke retrieval, but it's the Tenchi Bridge incident with the Orochimaru spy, right? But we got to move him a little bit more further up, so that way he's introduced during the tuning exams. Now, why would I introduce him during the tuning exams? Because during Shippuden, there was a explicit thing that was said by him and throughout the story, that Danzo and Orochimaru orchestrated the downfall of Hiruzen, and they orchestrated the Konoha Crush incident. So we have to make it look like he was there, because he was nowhere to be seen in the original series. We didn't even know who he was. So we got to introduce him during that time. Best way to do this is, so Danzo is a long-term friend of Hiruzen, and he was an excommunicated council member of Hiruzen's. Now, what does excommunicated mean? He no longer is a part of the council, but, you know, Hiruzen rocks with him, so like he's like, yo, that's my boy. I'm still gonna have you in on the shit. It's just you're not official anymore, right? Cool. Outside of that, we also have the situation where Danzo still has been operating in silence in the background as the organizer and the founder of the Root Division, right? Hiruzen disband that unit. Let's just be clear here. We got to make Hiruzen a little bit better. So we got to clear up a lot of things. Hiruzen disband that unit. Danzo disobeyed. That's literally what happened. Cool. Now that we have that going on. So why was Danzo introduced at this point in time? Because Danzo has a lot of ties to a lot of things that happened beforehand, so we have to introduce him as soon as possible in the series. So Danzo's introduced here because he brings it up that Orochimaru's in the village, or at least he gets the information that, hey, Orochimaru's in the village, we got to act, we got to do this, this, and this, and this. Now, Danzo is trying to manipulate Hiruzen into acting too rashly and basically making it so that way there can be a civil war in the village immediately. We don't want that. So Hiruzen doesn't go along with that plan. But he's there, he's present, and we've already established his character. Now, we don't know much about him, so his character is kind of like an off, he's like a one-off person. We know he has characterization, but we just don't really care about him, at least not at this point in the series, right? Later on, after Hiruzen dies, he is a part of the council that basically tries to appoint Jiraiya into becoming Hokage. Now, the reason why Danzo does not say anything is because he realizes that at this point in time, it is not in his favor to say anything. He does not have any position of power yet, at least not anymore, and he does not have influence amongst the people in the top of the Hidden Leaf Village Council, right? So he doesn't have influence amongst the two old geezers that basically everybody hates. Everybody hates those people, right? So they propose Tsunade. Well, they propose Jiraiya at first. Jiraiya says no, but he does give him a counter argument and says, what if I can find Princess Tsunade for you guys? And everybody's just like, and Danzo's like, well, so he allows it to happen because he knows in the long run, he believes that Tsunade is not fit to become Hokage. And them appointing someone that is unfit allows him to usurp the throne later on, which is very, very true because that's what exactly ends up happening later on in the story anyways. So he allows it to happen. Next, in the background, Danzo's doing a lot of shady stuff. He's you know, reaching out to Orochimaru. He's doing a lot of crazy things, right? Outside of that, in the background, we do get that moment where Itachi goes to talk to Danzo, because Itachi's going to talk to Danzo, and he's telling him, hey, my deal with the third still remains. Yo, you touch my baby bro, prepare for war, because you're gonna get the smoke, my boy. These eyes aren't just regular Sharingan. You know what kind of eyes these are, so relax. What happens? Danzo pulls back. He's like, all right, cool. Because he was going to make a move on Sasuke. He knew for a fact that he was going to have to take Sasuke's eyes. But he also understood that Sasuke's eyes didn't mature anything beyond the 2 Tomoe Sharingan. So you're like, I mean, like, I can take them, but like, bro, that just adds more work for me. Like, I don't want to freaking train. I just like collecting the eyes, my boy. That's literally what Danzo likes. He likes collecting the eyes. He don't like powering them up at all. So we flash forward to Shippuden, and then we eventually are greeted with Danzo again in the second arc. Now this time, he's tasked Sai to do basically everything that he did in the original story. Everything from here on out kind of pans out the same until we get the revelation of the Uchiha Massacre. Because when we get the revelation of the Uchiha Massacre, it has more to do, like when Obito's explaining it to Sasuke, he's explaining that Danzo's always been a part of the village. Danzo's always been in the village. He's always been a part of the politics. The only thing is that he had no judicial power. He had no power to act on the system, which makes his character a little bit more like he's like the most diabolical mastermind of everything. And then on top of that, Danzo also knew certain things would come to pass based off of how certain things happen. So Danzo's kind of like a low-key Aizen, but not exactly, because he's not as powerful as Aizen. If you guys know the reference, you guys know the reference. But Danzo takes over the village, obviously, when Tsunade falls against Pain and everything, right? And at this point in time, Danzo makes the case input. He says, okay, you guys have usurped me twice as a potential candidate for Hokage. The first time you usurped me after the death of Minato, you guys reinstated Hiruzen Sarutobi, and Hiruzen Sarutobi ended up being a failure at the end of the day. We can't put in line the fact that Hiruzen's policies, not really, but the policies that Hiruzen enacted were policies that Danzo wanted enacted for the purpose of Hiruzen's downfall. And that's the thing that also cements Danzo's ruling. Danzo also says that he is a powerful shinobi. He was trained by a strong individual. He does have the credit and the reliability in reputation alone, and he's also frustrated with the system. The system has always been thinking about being protective, being defensive. Danzo wants to move on the offense because he knows, hey, defense doesn't win any wars. Defense doesn't protect nobody. Lives get lost when you focus too much on defense. Because what happens when defense don't work out? They're like, ooh, you're right. So at the end of the day, Danzo takes the throne, and now Danzo's Hokage candidate again. The remainder of the story stays the same, except at the end. At the end, rather than him like dying for the sake of like dying in a manner in which it kind of defeats his ideology, because he's always about self-sacrifice. He actually willingly tries to die in a self-sacrificial way. It's not like a, oh damn, I'm pressed against the wall kind of situation. It's more like a, I'm just gonna do this because there's no other choice. And self-sacrifice is the true nature of a shinobi kind of ideology that he has going on. So he dies. When he dies, he gives a monologue about how he was always jealous of Hiruzen, and that jealousy led him to envy. And that envy was what made him be very rude and disrespectful and kind of like vindictive against Hiruzen. And that's kind of like the message that I want to kind of like portray with Danzo. That Danzo was, it's not that Danzo was a bad guy, it's that he went about everything in the wrong way. It's not, I'm not trying to redeem him like every other villain in Naruto. I'm just saying that like Naruto's whole theme is about like, even your villains are also heroes in their own eyes. So don't ever believe that they're just an outright villain. And that's kind of like the message that I feel like Naruto always portrays. Like, hey, like even the worst of guys, they went through something that made them that way. They went through something that created that ideology in their mind. And that's kind of what I want the message to be with Danzo. That like, even though he did a lot of messed up things, and you know, he went behind his best friend's back. He tried to off his best friend a couple times. At the end of the day, he did it for the altruistic goal of creating and establishing peace in his eyes. He just did not know that he could work with other people in the way that he wanted to, if he had just asked. That's kind of the message I want with Danzo. And Danzo he's still gonna be viewed as a bad guy either way, because like he still did all the bad deeds at the end of the day. It's just, you kind of get it at the end. You're like, oh, okay, now I understand why he's like that. And that's kind of what I wanted. Now, is there any other characters that we got to do in relationship to Hiruzen? Yes, the second Hokage. Second Hokage is probably going to be another video that I'm going to drop, just because I definitely want to clear up the air with the second Hokage. A lot of people hate this man. A lot of people think he's a very, very problematic dude. A lot of people think, you know, like he has some level of animosity towards the Uchihas, but I'll explain that in his video, because it sums up the reason why Danzo is the way that he is too. The reason why Danzo went out of his way to get the Sharingans and make the Sharingan arm and get Shisui's Sharingan and get Koto Matsukami and all that stuff, it all comes down to the Tobirama. So like, these two characters were shaped largely based off of their senseis. Tobirama was a very, very impactful sensei. I would say he was more of a master to them than a sensei. So with that being said, if you guys like the video, like it. If you guys have any comments, you guys want to see any other characters be done in this kind of fashion, by all means, leave them in the comment section below. Leave the comments down below, and catch you guys in another video.